Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a Blue Collar Wine Show where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. As promised, I am doing Southern Rhone wines. Very excited about this because my wife and I were just in the Rhone Valley a few weeks ago. And hats off to Harry who met us in Avignon and took us on a little trip through the Rhone Valley to visit a few of the wineries there. I love Rhone wines. They're some of my favorites, and I think they represent some of the best values in the wine world as far as quality to price ratio. Now I always say, and I do say this often, that I go to Spain, I go to Portugal, I go to Argentina to find some great values. But the Rhone Valley, especially when you get into the Côte de Rhone appellation, the Côte de Rhone is like the Columbia Valley. It covers a broad spectrum. Typically they're considered the lower end of the quality scale, but I think you can find some fantastic Côte de Rhone with that specific label across where it says Côte de Rhone, and we'll go through that a little bit more. There's other regions inside the Côte de Rhone. We'll talk about that in a minute. They're crus. They're called crus. These are appellations that have stood up above the rest of the Côte de Rhone Valley. Southern Rhone typically is famous because of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which is really close to Avignon. So Susie and I started in Lyon, which is just above the northern Rhone, and then traveled down to Avignon, which is right at the bottom south of the southern Rhone Valley. I think the most common, or maybe ones that you would recognize, would be like Gigondas. It's a very well-known part of the Côte de Rhone Valley, the lower southern valley. Also Vaccaraz. You have Lirac, which is probably one of my favorite crus in the Rhone Valley, in the southern Rhone Valley. You have Restau, which we have here. We have Vinsobres. We have Tavel, which we talked about before, where they make rosé, really serious rosé wine. But let's get started right off the bat, okay? With the Chateau Bizard. This is Chateau Bizard. That it is in the, get this, the what is it? The Grignan-Les-Adhemar village of the Rhone Valley. Predominantly Syrah Grenache, but they can use up to 30% of combined grapes, not more than 30%, even if they're combined of, I believe it's Carignan, Cinsault, and Mont-Redon. So, but this one, in typical fashion, is 50% Syrah, 50% Grenache. And Syrah really is, Grenache and Syrah are the two dominant grapes of the southern Rhone Valley. Let's see, they used to be called, get this, they used to be called Côte de Tricastin. And they changed that, Côte de Tricastin, excuse me, couldn't spit that one out, because there's a nuclear power plant named Tricastin. So they wanted to get away from the association, the negative association to that nuclear power plant. So they changed it to Grignan-Les-Adhemar. Let's see if I got that right. Grignan-Les-Adhemar is the appellation there. Think of the Côte de Rhone as like the Columbia Valley. The Columbia Valley is a general appellation designation that includes a lot of different sub-appellations. And so when you see Côte de Rhone, it's the big appellation. When you see sub-appellations like Grignan-Les-Adhemar, it's a little, stands out just a little bit, as does Restau. So let's get started. Did any of that make any sense? I just love talking about the Rhone Valley. It's so cool. And then when Harry took us up through there, you know how you have your expectations about what you're going to see, and it didn't look anything like I kind of thought it would. Just saying. Beautiful country. Hard to find the wineries because they don't put their big sign out in front of their winery, or like you're used to, let's say in Napa Valley, or even in the Columbia Valley. So, you know, you have to know where you're going, or you have to have a really good GPS. So this is 50% Syrah, 50% Grenache, Chateau Bizard, 2017. And this rolls in at $13. Good value. dark in color. Very dark. Let's see what we get on those. I mean to get like dark cherries and strawberries. I can smell the spice on this. A little bit of maybe some boysenberry action going through on this one. There's an interesting kind of spice note that I can't quite put my finger on, or my nose on, or my brain on, for that matter. A little raspberry coming through as well. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is nice and plush. A nice a dark cherry, raspberry, boysenberry notes coming through. Really, really nicely balanced. It's not over the top fruit. Get a little bit of minerality on the back end of this one, and there's just slight baking spices coming through as well. Nice expansion on the mid palate of the dark cherry notes, and then right at the back end, you get that minerality, kind of a not dusty rock, but kind of like crushed rock, just a little bit, not overpowering, which is nice because if you're recommending a wine to somebody that you want to get them into the Southern Rhone Valley wines, you want it to be approachable. This has a little bit of tobacco as well, just barely, kind of lingering like an underbelly of tobacco. This is a solid wine to get somebody into the Rhone Valley that love New World fruit-forward wines. This has the fruit, but it has minerality. The minerality isn't overpowering. It's there, but some people might not even detect it really, but it is there. Nicely integrated acidity. This is kind of a dangerous wine to me. This would go down way easy. Yeah. Very nice wine. The Syrah and the Grenache work well together. The Grenache gives it a little bit of that spiciness that you get. Not huge, dominant, and that Syrah gives it that power in the fruit. I like this wine a lot. The price is just crazy. And for all my homies out there, I have none of this at the store. I did stack this a few months ago, and it went quickly. But I thought I would review it because it's just really epitomizes what the Rhone Valley is all about. You get this good quality, solid, well-balanced wine at a fair price. I'm going to go B+, A- on that. Solid wine. Let's move on. Now this is I say the dreaded Côte de Rhone moniker, because a lot of people at the store I work at don't buy it if it says Côte de Rhone. I cannot figure it out. It doesn't make sense to me. But for some reason, when it says Côte de Rhone, it slows down sales. Now, that's not entirely true. Like if I make it my pick of the month, which I do every month, I pick a different wine. Sometimes the Côte de Rhone will do well. It gets people to try it. They say, oh, I really like this wine. But just in general, Côte de Rhone at the store I work at do not sell as well as, let's say, a Restau or a Vaccaraz or a Lirac. It's still something that I'm trying to wrap my brain around, and it's been that way for a number of years. All right, so this is the Reserve Mont-Redon Côte de Rhone 2019. 19 great vintage, by the way. $17. This was in at 17 bucks. Doesn't give you the rundown on the blend, but they can use, in the Côte de Rhone region, they can use a lot of different grapes. Primarily Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, sometimes Carignan, a little bit of Cinsault, but usually the three dominant grapes are Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. So, there you go. $17. It surprised me about Côte de Rhone because these GSM blends that they're putting out in the New World now, we have a lot of GSM blends in our blend section. They do really well. And they are Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. Usually, that's what GSM stands for, right? So they do really well. So it always surprises me when you put out a Côte de Rhone and it doesn't quite take off like these do. So very similar color, very dark on this one, as you can see. Hopefully you can see that. Let's see what we get on those. Yeah, it has a little bit of red hue on the outside edge. Not quite as aromatic as the first wine. A little tobacco coming through. I actually get a little bit of rubber notes. A little earth coming through as well. I get kind of a leather, like cherry soaked leather. If that makes any sense. See what we get on the palate. The leather comes through. Nice, nice cherry. I'm getting a little blueberry in there as well, which is very interesting. So cherry, blueberry, leathery tannins. A little chewy on this one. I like it. Nice fruit expansion on the mid palate, just like the first one. Good balance. Nicely integrated acidity. It's fresh on the finish. Solid wine. I like the blueberry cherry notes that come through. Tannins got a little, like I said, they're a little meaty, a little bit of attitude on the back end. Not as much minerality as the first one. This could be Grenache dominant because it's light on the palate. Grenache is a little lighter than Syrah, so I'm thinking this might be Grenache dominant. But this is a nice wine. This is a solid wine for $17. And just to make my point, these GSM blends that we sell a lot of, they average between 20 and 25 bucks. So you got a $17 GSM, no doubt, probably Grenache dominant wine that is very solid. I'm going to go B+ on that as well. I like it. Very good wine for the money. Now, I went to this winery and I'm very excited. La Réserve Saint Dominique, Rostau. Eric Boynet. I met him. Nice, really nice guy. I met his sister. She toured us around the winery. It was really cool. This is 80% Grenache, 15% Syrah, 5% Mourvedre. Rostau is one of those cru villages inside of the southern Rhone Valley. This rolls in at $22. I was looking up, I was reading something from Jancis Robinson about the Rhone Valley, and this was one of the wineries she mentioned as her favorite. Not that that would matter to you guys, but you know, it's nice to see, and she's a very well-known wine critic. I agree with her. The wines I tried there were fantastic. Now we're going to look at their Rostau. Again, very dark, almost the darkest of the three. Yeah, getting close to black, boys. Deep purple, baby. Deep purple. What song came to your mind right there? Getting a red flower note, which I really like. I love it when you get red flowers. I don't know why. Do you guys like to get flower notes on your wines? I do. Tobacco, for sure. Red flowers, tobacco. I'm getting a currant edge to this. Dark cherries, currants. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got on the palate. Excited about this wine. Ridiculous. Really. All solid wines. This one is chewy tannins. Has that meatiness to it. Those meaty tannins that you get. Tobacco. I'm getting blueberry on the palate. Didn't get that on the nose. But definitely blueberry on the palate. Blended with cherries, blended with currants. A little bit of plum as well. My nose must be failing me. It's probably all the smoke out there from the fires. It's supposed to rain on Friday. Be excited to... Actually, this is the first time I've ever even thought about being excited about rain. But it'd be nice just for the firefighters, really, and to get rid of the smoke. Nice tobacco hit on the mid palate, where that fruit is there. Good balanced acidity, nice meaty tannins, a little minerality on the back side of this one. Beautiful wine, really, really beautiful wine. It's what I kind of remember when I visited this winery, 2019. La Rivière Saint Dominique, $22. Yeah, I'm going to go straight up A on that. I just think it's a really solid wine. Again, it is 80% Grenache, so it's Grenache dominant, but boy, is it meaty. That Syrah and Mourvedre added in there really give it kind of an intensity, but at the same time it's very balanced. I could drink this all by itself, but boy, would this be good with meat, a steak. It would be good with a lot of things. Lamb would be really good with this one as well. The red flower and blue flower notes, by the way, kind of pop on the back of the mid into the finish. Feels like I chewed on some sort of a red flower petal, but in a good way. That tobacco's there, the cherries, the currants are all there, the plums. Really, really nice wine. A. So, really good. B plus, A minus, B plus, and A. Solid wines. And the price, they're all under $25. So, you know, really solid wines. And I know, like this one, I would have no problem aging this one for 10 to 15 years. Be fun to see how that turns out. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. Hey, I have a quick question for you. I'd like to get some. I'm getting some nice comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for the comments. I always try to answer your comments. If I miss, I'm sorry. Do you favor Rhone wines? Do you shy away when you see Côte de Rhone? Or is it confusing for you when you see Lirac or Vinsobres or Gigondas, you know, trying to understand what those are all about? It can be confusing, but I think the Rhone Valley is a little bit easier to understand than some areas of the world. So how do you feel about wines from the southern Rhone? Let me know in the comments. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.